Awesome.
Oh, we're inside, folks.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Holy Rood. In you come.
Heck yeah.
Hello, just come this way. Just wait round there, that's right.
Cool.
You don't see many of them, do you?
No. That is really neat.
So, good evening everyone. My name is Carol. Welcome to the beautiful Church of the Holy Rood. Holy Rood just means Holy Cross, Church of the Holy Cross. There's been a church on this site since 1129. It was built by King David I, but it burnt down, so the one we're standing in just now was 1405. It was built by the Catholic Church. It was a Catholic church, so it faces west to east, facing Jerusalem. At the far end, we've got the apse, and then the choir, then the transepts, and this part is the nave. And I think you've all been admiring the lovely roof. So it's the oldest hammer beam roof in Scotland and one of the oldest in Europe. Not one single nail. It's all held together with wooden pegs. So it really, really is magnificent. The church is regarded as one of the best examples of Gothic architecture, and I think we can all agree that. 92 stonemasons worked on it, and we know that because there's 92 different masons' marks on the stonework. There's 2,070 of them in the church, but you'll just have to take my word for that. Unless you want to hear all night. There's been a few transformations of the church. In 1656, the two ministers who were in charge of the church, both Presbyterian, both Protestant ministers, they disagreed how the religion should be taught. So an enormous wall was built right across the middle of the church, a stone wall. And Guthrie, who was the hardliner, he preached in the bottom half of the church, and Simpson preached here. So that wall stayed up for nearly 300 years, not because none of the ministers got on, but they didn't have the money to take it down again. And over here, we've got a film from 1936 when they managed to raise £40,000 to bring the wall down. It's quite fascinating to see the lack of health and safety in the place. So, at the same time as that was being done, we had our beautiful organ donated to us, and you'll see that when you go down. It's the biggest romantic organ in Scotland. The kings and queens of Scotland loved Stirling. It was a really important place to them, especially the Stuarts. And Mary Queen of Scots spent most of her early days living in the castle. She had a chapel there. Mary Queen of Scots was Catholic, and this was a Catholic church at that time. So she spent a lot of time in this church. And her son James was christened in the castle. He was christened a Catholic. And then shortly after, Mary was forced to abdicate and flee. And the Reformation had come. And James was crowned King of Scotland, James VI of Scotland, in this church. but as a Protestant, and John Knox preached at the service. So that was just at that time. In 1987, there was another huge upheaval in the church. They spent £1.25 million on it, fixing leaks and rising damp and all the rest of it. And then in 1997, Queen Elizabeth II visited the church to watch a reenactment of James's coronation. And just the baby they used as James VI was Herman, who has the restaurant you're going to for dinner. It was his son they used. So,
Oh, cool.
and apparently he was very good. So I'll leave you now just to have a look about yourself, and Claire and I are here. If you've got any questions, we're happy to answer them. Take as many pictures as you want, admire our lovely stained glass windows. These are only from about the 1800s, because when the Reformation came, everything would be smashed. It would all anything that was pretty in the church would be gone. So Claire and I work for a local charity still in district tourism, and we've partnered with the church. The church was threatened with closure, and we've partnered with the church to run events like this to try and raise money to save the church. We have a donation bowl over there. If anyone wishes to donate, I'm gladly accepted, but don't feel there's no pressure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. Hey, can you take pictures of the stained glass and the cool stuff? I'm doing video right now. Lighting candles, okay. Oh, is this for holy water? Heck yeah. Holy water's tight. Get a picture of us with some of these stained glasses, babe. Beautiful shirt. Ooh, this is it. Wow. All right.
As well. US. Any Canadians? Canadians, there we are. South Africans here as well, yeah. Anything I missed? No? Okay. Let's hope I don't play anything that might offend you. I'm sure I will. Traditional Highland tunes, my butt. Don't ever ask me when, well, the Maple Leaf Forever. We'll carry on. Yankee Doodle Dandy or even Thunderstruck became a traditional Highland tune because tonight will be the answer you will all receive. But there were two. The very first, of course, being the wonderful Sky Boat song, Speed Bunny Boat Like a Bird on the Wing. And then, obviously, the last one, Waltzing Matilda. But why is Waltzing Matilda a Highland bagpipe tune? Come on, you Aussies, tell me. Okay, I'll educate you. We know the words were written by the late Banjo Patterson originally as a poem. However, the melody that Waltzing Matilda is set to is a tune written here in Scotland and better known as the Bonnie Woods of Craigie, or Craigie as we Scots know it for short. That melody was taken to Australia. Banjo's words were set to it from the poem the song was born. If you don't believe me, Google it. And if you want to hear it, get yourself onto YouTube. The Bonnie Woods of Craigie. There's a video that will jump to the top, and it's a gentleman who's playing the accordion to Waltzing Matilda, his musical partner playing the Bonnie Woods of Craigie on the flute. And he accompanies her with the Bonnie Woods to start with, and then he goes in to play Waltzing Matilda while she continues on playing the Bonnie Woods. And it's almost impossible to tell them apart. There we are. I didn't believe it for a number of years, but it is in actual fact true. There we are. Let me get rid of the pipes, and I'm going to give you Tam O'Shanter. That's it. Hey, there we are. Okay, so Tam O'Shanter. Can anybody tell me before I commence what a Tam O'Shanter is? It's what, sorry? What did you say it was? Tambourine. No, it's not a tambourine. It's a hat. A tammy. This is a Tam O'Shanter. Now, Burns makes reference to it in his poem, with a very simple line, folks, where he says, "Hauden fast, he's get blue bonnet." Now, what does that mean? In English terms, it simply means to hold tight his good blue hat. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll very quickly have worked out with that sentence, and also along with the Haggis address, that Burns writes in two languages. Scots being his native tongue, that's the words you don't understand. And he also writes in English, which you do understand. So that's why Burns' poetry and song confuses the hell out of you. Because you think, I'm following that? No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Before long, you just think, enough. Done. End of. But I want you to experience Tam O'Shanter in a way which you'll understand it. And I'm going to do that by giving you an English translation to paint the picture for you. And then I'm going to give you some of the key verses of the beginning, middle and end mashed together to give you a flavour of Tam O'Shanter in its natural form before we say our farewells. Because Burns did more than any other folks to preserve the tradition, the history, the song and the language at a very time when Scotland itself faced a very threat to its own existence. And if he hadn't have done so, I simply wouldn't be talking to you about the great man tonight. It's like every other tradition in life. If you don't keep it up for the children of tomorrow, it will be lost forever. So if there's anything you take away from tonight, go back to your own cultures, dig out your tradition and keep it alive for the children of tomorrow. It will make me a very proud man. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Burns penned and edited that epic narrative poem Tam O'Shanter whilst he was residing on Ellieslyn Farm in the Scottish border town of Dumfries, 2 decades after leaving his native Alloway in Ayrshire. He did so with the memory of his childhood and the familiar places that he knew growing up in his youth at the very forefront of his mind, all of which would culminate in Tam O'Shanter. Now Burns had met with the antiquarian and author Captain Francis Groves, and Groves was about to publish the second volume of his Antiquities of Scotland when Burns suggested to him that he should include a piece on Alloway's old haunted church in his book. He agreed on the condition that Burns furnish him with a supernatural tale in order to accompany the delineation of the old church in the book. Both men agreed their terms. They parted and set about their work. Robert then wrote to Groves with 3 tales some days later, all centred around the old haunted church, all containing tales of witchcraft. The second one was Tam O'Shanter, which Burns had based on an Ayrshire farmer who was very partial to a drink. Or 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10, he was a hardened Scotch drinker. And on that day, it was a market day. He'd gone off to trade in cattle or other farming wares, but instead of going home, like every
good husband should do. He went, does that sound familiar? That's before he even finished, yeah, you're laughing, you know what's coming. Instead of going home, he went to the pub. And there he sat to the wee small hours of the morning, getting full and happy, as the poem states. Now that's really drunk and very happy to you and I. And while he's there, he's not giving much thought to his darling wife, who's at home waiting for him coming, and she's prepared a lovely meal. It's all in vain because he's getting drunk with his friends, while she's at home, getting angrier and angrier and angrier. Never a good mix. And that looks like you've got previous, I can tell. So after befriending the landlady, he attempts to leave, and he encounters an exceptionally violent storm outside. Thunder, lightning, rain, wind in his gruesome, but he gets upon his horse, drunk as a skunk, starts riding through the streets of Alloway, singing songs to himself as he goes, and huddling fast, he's get blue on it, so it doesn't blow away in the storm. And as he approaches the local haunted church, he can see it lit up. So he gets off his horse, stands back in the darkness out of the light where nobody can see him, and there he witnesses the festivities unfold before his very eyes. Warlocks! Witches! They're all dancing. In the corner is the devil playing the bagpipes. One of the witches is said to have taken his eye. He said she was, well, particularly bonny looking. I don't know about any of you lovely people present here this evening. I have never ever seen a bonny looking witch. We've all been hell of a ugly looking things with big hook noses, warts on the end, scraggy long rat tails like hair, crooked teeth and whiskers longer than mine. Ugh. Didn't fancy his much, eh? However, he thought she was a stunner, and he wanted to let her know. It was clearly beer goggles that evening. And he waited for an opportune moment in proceedings, cupped his hands around his mouth and yelled, "Well done, Cutty Sark!" Now, Cutty Sark, I'll dare say you all recognise as a whisky, right? Mm-hmm. Or a sailing ship. Now, both of these are perfectly correct answers, but I told you that Burns writes in two languages. The first being his native tongue, Scots, or Old Scots. And these are the words you don't understand. And Cutty Sark from Scots to English simply translates as a short skirt or undergarment. Most definitely what caught his eyes. Well, the lights go out, he knows he's in trouble. He has to get out of there. But he gets on his horse, starts riding through the streets, singing songs to himself as he goes, but the witches were lunging, shouting obscenities, trying to catch him. He knew he had to cross the River Doon, which flows through the centre of Alloway, because if he crosses the river, he'll be safe. The witches won't cross water. He'll get to the other side. Jobs are good, and so he thought. Well, just as the horse rode to the bridge, she leapt to take the brow, and at the same time the witch lunged after Tam, but instead of catching him, yanked the horse's tail off, left that poor horse with just a stump. He got to the other side and he thought that was scary. But let me assure you, it wasn't as scary as what was waiting behind that door when he got home. Now I've painted the picture, some of the key verses, in the manner in which they were written. Hopefully you can follow it, and then we'll say farewell. I'll apologise if I get carried away here. When Chapman Billies leave his street, and dritty neebors me. His market days are wearing late, and folk begin to tack the gate while we sit boozing at the nappy, getting full and happy. We think no, when the land Scot smiles, the mosses, the water slaps and styles that lie between us and our hames, where sits your sulking, sullen dames, gathering their brows like gathering storm, aye, and nursing their wrath to keep it warm. This truth fund on his tam o'shanter, as he fit air, a nicht did canter, all there, whom their attune surpasses for honest men, often bonny lasses. Oh, Tam, and thou, but being so wise, as to thy ain wife, Kate's advice, She told you real. You were a skellum. Blethering, blustering, drunken blellum. At from November till October, a market day, you weren't sober. Little Camelder with him, or you sat as long as thou had siller at every nine, which got a shoe on, the smith and thee get a roaring food, and at the Lord's house, even on a Sunday. Shame on you! You drank with Kirsten Jean till Monday. Oh, she prophesied that later soon you'd be found deep drowned in Doon or catched by warlocks by the mouth. I always old hunt. Well done, Cutty, sir! Aye, in an instant all was dark, and scarcely had he Maggie rallied, went out the hellish legion sallied, as bees buzz out with angry fyke and plundering herds assail their pike, as over his mortal foes, when pop, she starts before their nose, as eager runs the market crowd, when catch the thief resounds aloud, so Maggie runs, the witches follow, with many an eldritch screech and hollow. Charm, you'll get thy firm in hell. And in hell they'll roast you like a herm. In vain thy Kate awaits thy coming. Kate soon will be a woeful woman that do thy speedy utmost, Megan. When the key stain with the bride, thereat them thy tail may toss. A running stream they darena cross. Ere the key stain she could make, the fiend a tail she had to shake. For Nanny, far before the rest, hard upon, noble Maggie pressed and flew at Tam with furious echo. But little was she Maggie's metal. A spring brought off her master hail, but left behind her ain great. The Carlin caught her by the rump and left poor Maggie scarce a stump. Now who this tale of truth shall read, ilk man and mother's son, tak heed. When ere to drink you were inclined, nor Tammy the cutty sarks run in your mind, think you may buy the joys o'er dear. Remember, Tam O'Shanter's mare. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
You understood that one, right? I could see you hanging on every single word. I hope so, because I was next door with John and Catherine, we were discussing running a quiz on the coach on the way back to the hotel. So I'll soon find out who was paying attention and who was not. Ladies and gentlemen, it is of course one of the hardest pieces of Bunzy's works to get your head around, which is why I took the length to explain it to you in the first instance, and I hope by doing so you were able to follow that. I could talk to you all night about the great man, but I'll simply tell you quickly. He was born the 25th of January 1759 into poverty and hardship in Alloway, Ayrshire, dying the 21st of July 1796 at the tender age of just 37 years old in the town of Dumfries in the Scottish borders. We can only marvel what he achieved in those 37 years and what he might have achieved had he lived longer. Ladies and gentlemen, he had 2 volumes of works published. The Kilmarnock and Edinburgh edition of Kilmarnock was the most famous, and a second volume was called for at once, but the printer's too busy printing the Bible to be bothered with a book of trivial rhyming, so he saw fit to let the matter drop, and as such planned safe passage on a sailing ship to Jamaica. But instead he went to Edinburgh. He didn't go and join the slave trade on the sugar plantations. He remained here. We're eternally proud of that. And he had his second volume published in Edinburgh. He also had a hell of a lot of drinking crammed into that time, a hell of a lot of women, and a hell of a lot of children to go with those women. 13 by 5 different women to be exact.
Wow.
And that's only the ones that we know of. We think there were more, but 13 legally recorded, and 6 of them by just the one woman called Jean Armour. She was the only one he truly ever loved. He died shortly after he left Ellingsland Farm. He moved out of the farm where he wrote some of the finest works in the last 4 years of his life. And he moved into a house just across from the churchyard where he resides today with Jean and some of the children. As the cortege weaved through the streets, Jean was lying in bed giving birth to their final son, Maxwell Burns, on the very same day that his cortege weaved through the streets. Father and son never met, sad to say. And as the cortege weaved on, there was a woman heard to yell from the thousands in the street, "Who'll be our poet now?" I've often wondered, because there have been many, but none are afforded the same veneration that Burns is. Why should that be? with other heroes, other writers, other poets, but none could probably tell you here in Scotland when they were born. But we know when Burns was born. Why? Because on the 25th of January, for days before and after, all around the world, there are Burns suppers taking place to commemorate the birth of the ploughman poet. I don't know another institution or man of which that can be said. There is no Shakespeare supper, no Dante dinner, no Longfellow lunch or Joyce junket. But there is the Burns supper, and we are proud of that in Scotland. Ladies and gentlemen, he was voted the greatest Scot of all times. In the millennium, he will always be remembered as the Bard of Caledonia. And if you discount figures of religion, this is a true fact, discount figures of religion, only Christopher Columbus has got more statues worldwide than Robert Burns. Phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've all enjoyed yourself this evening. It has given me a great deal of pleasure to entertain you. They say that one of the biggest compliments you can pay we Scots is by coming here and visiting us in our own country, and I thank you all for doing so. But you know you can pay us a bigger one, right? When you all take the time, head back to your respective country, tell all of your family and friends about the magnificent vacation you've been on and the wonderful things that you've been doing when you've been with Catherine and John. But more importantly, you labour extensively on one point only, and that's when you tell them all about this incredibly handsome young piper who met you at the castle, brought you here to entertain you, not that they come, but more importantly, you all come back again. It would give me a great deal of pleasure to see you in the future. Now, I've got to be serious at some point, and that time's come now, and that's when I have to tell you, it's a part of my job, that you know you have the finest travel director in the whole of the Trafalgar organisation, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's exactly how that big Kiwi paid me to say that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm jesting. You've got a diamond in John, and I'm pretty certain, in fact, I know for a fact that he's looked after you thus far, and he will continue to do so on your journey as that takes you on from here. Now, see if he doesn't, get my number on the way out the door, or ask Catherine for my number. She's got it there. She'll give you it, and give me a call, and I'll sort him out the next time I see him. Ladies and gentlemen, all the very best. Have a safe journey. Good night. God bless.
Thank you.